everyone, this is Amanda at Amanda's Booktopia. If you're new here, welcome, and if not, welcome back. And today, I'm going to go over the books I like to read during the fall time. Don't know if that's going to start in September, or if it's going to start in October and go till November. But these are some like my reads that I would love to get to during the fall. And some of these are definitely priority reads, others maybe not so much, but I do want to try and get to all of these potentially in this year before the year is out. So it might carry over into December, but at some point I want to get to all of these books. And I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 books here with me that I would like to at least try and prioritize over the fall and hopefully fit them in for either buddy reads or potentially for book clubs or whatever else might pop up. You never know. But just in case, these are the ones that I would like to get to sometime before the year is out, if at all possible. So the first one's not exactly necessarily a fall read, but it's a priority for me that I really need to get to. And that is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I read The Liar's Crown by her. Absolutely love that book. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite fantasy romances that's not definitely talked about very much. So when I see people talk about it, I'm like, yes, please read it. I still need to continue that series. I have a second one. This is her newest release. It just came out in September. And I knew because of how much I love The Liar's Crown, I knew I had to get this one. And it's a very pretty edition that I got, which I'm going to save and show to you in my book haul for September. I'm not going to show it all to you right now. I just wanted to tell you guys that I do plan on reading this very soon. And then the rest of them were all pretty much fall, thriller, fantasy, shifter stuff I think would fit perfect for the season. So the next one I'd like to get to is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I have heard amazing things about this, and there's vampires, and that just makes me want to read it more because I love vampires. I don't know much about it, except that it's dark. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I'm going to go in blind on this one. But I've heard amazing things, so I'm very excited to read this in the fall. And then the next book I decided I wanted to read in the fall is Theme Music by T. Marie Vandelli. I think that's how you pronounce it. This was a gift from my fiance, Ray. The reason why I wanted this one so badly is because it reminded me of the Villista Axe Murder House. Because of the when I read the blurb, it sounded just like that story in the house. So I'm like, I am so here for it. This gives me all the horror thriller vibes. I know this girl was spared when she was 1 year old because her father butchered her mother and her brothers with a slashing knife across his own throat. And then Dixie comes back 25 years later, desperate for a connection to the family she can't remember. But she goes back to her childhood home where everything happened. And things are going crazy up in this house. And that's why it gave me of all the vibes of Villista Axe Murder House. So I'm like, I need to read this book. So I'm definitely hoping to get to this in the fall. Very soon. And the next one that I'm super excited to read, and it'll be perfect for the fall time, is The Blind Dies First by Joelle Wellington. I read Their Vicious Games by her and absolutely loved it. I knew I needed to read her newest book that came out like the end of July. And I know there's seance-y vibes, and there's supernatural elements, and then there's also slashery vibes. So I am here for it. Since I absolutely loved her first book, I need to read this one. So I definitely want to prioritize this in the fall, for sure. And then the next one that I have, I think will be perfect for the fall, is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I read The Murder Road by her, and I did enjoy it, but it didn't blow me away. But I've heard really great things about this one in particular, This one in the Sundown Motel, I think I heard were like some of her most popular ones. So I'm very excited to read this one in the fall. I think it's going to be a spectacular time. I believe there's dual timeline. Yep. There's a timeline in 1977 in Clear Lake, Oregon. And then we're going back to Oregon in 2017. And it says some crimes come back to haunt you. And a true crime blogger gets more than she bargained for while interviewing the woman acquitted of 2 cold case slayings in this chilling new novel. Well, it's not new anymore. But I'm very much excited to read this in the fall. I think it's going to be so fun. I'm hoping I'm going to love this. And then the next book I'm hoping to get to in the fall is A Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. This was gifted to me by my bestie Clint from Reads Readers. And this is like his favorite series and his favorite author. So I would love to prioritize this in the fall. So I know he really wants to hear my thoughts on it. So I cannot wait to get to Wolfsong. I know there's a male-male relationship, and they're shifters. They shift into wolves. So I think that'd be perfect for the fall time. And I am psyched to finally dive into Clint's favorite series. So this would be perfect for the fall. And then the next book that I have is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Clint and I were also talking about, at one point, doing some kind of project of reading books that with houses set on cliffs by the water. And look at this cover. It has all those elements on it. And I know it's a thriller, and I don't know much about it other than that. It says there's a family meeting that leads to murder. So that should be interesting. I've heard mostly good things about this one. I've heard with this particular author, a lot of her books are hit or miss for a lot of people. But this one I've heard more good things than bad. So I am very excited to get to this one sometime in the fall, because I love The Only One Left by Riley Sager. That has the same setting on the cover, just like this one. I'm hoping it'll give me the same vibe. So I cannot wait to get to this. And then the next one that I have, I'm very much interested in reading, is The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. I believe there's and then there were none trope in this, and it's like a murder mystery that takes place in this manor, and the local police are called, a body's been discovered, something's not right with the guests, and everyone has an agenda, everyone has a past, but not everyone will survive the midnight feast. So I think this is going to be a fun, thrillery time, and I think it's going to be great for the fall, and I've been wanting to read this one since it came out, because I've never read a book from this author before, but I've heard better things about this one than her past books. So I am very much excited to dive into this. And then the next one that I've got is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mah. I just recently got this one. And the reason why I picked this up is because the synopsis is something I've never heard of before. Basically, from what I know, this girl is enjoying a relaxing bath when this masked figure drops down through the attic hatch, and 30 seconds later, that girl in the bath is dead. And across town, the dead girl's old school friend sees an online video of the masked figure coming out of the attic, and she realizes why the footage is eerily familiar. It was filmed inside her own home. Now they're trying to figure out why the stranger is targeting Julia, unless, of course, it's not a stranger at all. And this sounds like a plot like I've never heard before. So I cannot wait to get to this one. I'm hoping definitely sometime this fall. I think it'd be perfect for that time frame. And next we've got Wisteria by Adalyn Grace. I already plan on reading this in September because my friend Nikki picked this as a friend pick for me during my September TBR game. And I cannot wait to finish out this series. I've been waiting for Bliss. Is it Blythe? I can't pronounce her name. But either way, she's my favorite character from the series. She was a side character in the first 2 books. And she's starring in this one as like the main character. So I am very, very, very excited to see how her story plays out. And it's perfect for fall time because it's gothic and it has fantasy elements, but the gothic fantasy I just feel like fits perfect for the fall. And I cannot wait to read this very, very soon. And then the next one, I definitely plan on reading in October for sure, because this is a book club pick. This is Contract Bound by Andrea Mah. If you have watched my book club announcement video for Fiction Falls, Clint and I, we chose this book for our, October for the book club. And it's a vampire lesbian romance. And I am so down. And I think it's going to be perfect for the fall time. I cannot wait to read this with Clint and everybody who decides to join us. I don't know much, except one is a vampire and one is a vampire hunter. And so these two girls, the vampire hunter is coming after the vampire, and there's a romance. And I am psyched to read this. So I cannot wait to read this in October. I think it would be perfect for the fall. And then the next one that I would love to read in the fall is Night of the Witch by Sarah Raish, I think it's pronounced, and Beth Revis. I kind of butcher those names. I have no clue if I'm saying this right. But you will see this in my September book haul as well. I'll show off the book a little bit more then. When I saw this book that was in Target, I immediately picked it up, mostly because it sounds great for the fall time, and I have been hearing amazing things about this book in particular. I think it's the first in a duology, if I'm not mistaken. But it's witchy vibes, which I think is perfect for the fall. I am so down. I think there's a lot of German stuff in this. But I saw on the back, Jennifer L. Armentrout and Claire Legrand both blur this book, and they both enjoyed it. And I've read from both of those authors and enjoyed their writing for the most part. So I am very excited to get to this in the fall. I think it'll be a great fantasy, witchy, fun time, and I cannot wait. And another book I also am adding to my potential fall TBR is Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I have been wanting to check this out since I heard about it, and it sounds really, really good. But I saw on GoodReads there are mixed reviews on this one. But I will be buddy reading this with Dana in October. So I am very excited to see where my thoughts lie on this. And then I just realized my nails match the sprayed edges. How cool is that? That was unintentional. But I am very much excited to read this one. And I know it takes place in June 1993. And I think it's about filmmakers that want to make their own horror movie. And that's all I really know. So I am very much excited to read this with Dana in October. It's going to be so much fun. Then another book that I am potentially going to be reading in the fall is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And I was thinking, I think my bestie Nikki said she wanted to read this with me. So it's possible that we might be buddy reading this in the fall. I don't know when yet. It's up to, we haven't discussed that yet. But eventually, I think it'd be kind of fun to read this. I've heard it's got the spooky gothic vibes going on. And I don't really know much else. But I'm definitely excited to go for it. I think it's going to be the perfect fall read. And I'm very much excited to see where my thoughts lie on this. I've heard excellent things about this book. And I cannot wait to see if I am in that same category. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this one. And now we're down to our last book. And I'm very, very excited to read. I also got this in September, so you'll see this in my September book haul. That is Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. And from my understanding, this girl falls into this book and she wants to be a hero. However, she ends up being a villain. So it's kind of like Inkheart, except that she ends up being a villain. So because I loved the Inkheart series when I was younger, and this is like a kind of like it's kind of like the same kind of plot. I don't know if it's very bookish. She falls into the book. She ends up being a villain. So it's very similar in that aspect. Except that she's a villain and not a side character. And It even says on top, a tale for anyone who's ever fallen for the villain. So I'm very excited to see how this one goes. I haven't really heard very many people talk about it. But hopefully one of these days somebody will. Because I want to hear thoughts on this. And I think it's going to be so much fun because I really enjoy the Inkheart series by Cornelia Funk. And since this gives me similar vibes, I'm definitely psyched to read this in the fall because bookish villains, what's not to love, right? And that is all the books that I have for this potential fall TBR. I think it's going to be a great time. There's so many great books in this stack that I cannot wait to get to. I hope you guys loved this fall TBR video. If you did, give me a huge thumbs up. If you want to see more bookish content, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. And I'll see you all next time.